Close your eyes now and let yourself settle into this quiet moment as we drift back through the soft mist of time, back to a small village somewhere in England. In the year 1347, where the world moved slowly and peacefully, and where nothing demanded your attention. Breathe slowly now in and out as we find ourselves standing outside a modest timber-framed inn. The sign of the White Hart, its painted wooden sign, swaying ever so gently in the cool morning breeze. The dawn light is just beginning to touch the thatched roof, casting everything in shades of soft gray and pale gold. The air smells of wood smoke and damp earth, and the faint sweetness of hay from the stable nearby. You can hear almost nothing at all, just the distant sound of a rooster somewhere far away, and the gentle rustle of leaves in the oak tree that stands beside the inn's wooden door. Let your shoulders drop as we step closer to this peaceful place where time moves like honey, thick and slow and warm. Inside, the innkeeper is just beginning to stir. His name is Thomas, the innkeeper, a man of perhaps 40 years with a lined face and kind eyes. He sleeps in a small room above the main hall, on a straw mattress covered with rough woolen blankets. The room is dim lit only by the faint glow of dawn, seeping through the gaps in the wooden shutters. Thomas opens his eyes slowly, so slowly, and for a long moment he simply lies there, listening to the silence, feeling the weight of the blankets upon him, warm and heavy and comforting. He can hear his wife, Margaret, breathing softly beside him, a gentle rhythm that matches your own breathing. Now, in and out, in and out. Nothing needs to happen quickly here. Everything unfolds in its own time, in its own peaceful way. Thomas sits up carefully, his movements slow and deliberate. The wooden floorboards creak softly beneath his feet as he stands, a familiar sound, a comforting sound. He reaches for his long woolen tunic hanging on a peg by the door and pulls it over his linen. Under shift, the fabric is rough but warm soft in places from years of use. Let yourself sink deeper now as Thomas moves through his morning with no urgency, no stress, just the simple routine of another day. He descends the narrow wooden stairs, each step creaking gently beneath his weight, down, into the main hall of the inn. The room is large but low-ceilinged, with heavy oak beams overhead that have darkened with age and smoke. The stone fireplace at one end holds only cold ashes, now gray and lifeless, waiting patiently to be brought back to life. The tables and benches sit empty, in the dim light arranged in rows across the rush-covered floor. The rushes, dried reeds, and grasses mixed with herbs, lavender, and meadowsweet release a faint, pleasant scent when disturbed. Thomas walks slowly across them, now his footsteps whispering softly, heading toward the back door that leads to the well. Breathe deeply and let the cool morning air fill your lungs as Thomas opens the door. The world outside is wrapped in a gentle gray mist. The village beyond is barely visible, just the vague shapes of other thatched roofs, other timber walls. Everything soft and blurred and dreamlike. He walks slowly to the well, a simple stone structure in the yard behind the inn, and lowers the wooden bucket on its rope down into the darkness, listening to the distant splash far below. Then he pulls it up again, hand over hand, slowly, steadily, the rope rough against his palms, until the bucket emerges, filled with cold, clear water that reflects the pale morning sky. Thomas carries the bucket inside, feeling its weight, feeling the slight slosh of water against the wooden sides, and sets it down gently beside the hearth. Now he kneels slowly, his knees protesting just a little, and begins to arrange kindling In the fireplace, small dry twigs arranged in a careful pattern, then larger pieces of wood, everything placed with patience and care. Nothing rushes you here. You have all the time in the world. Just breathe and watch and drift. He strikes flint against steel once, twice, 3 times, small sparks falling into a nest of dry moss and charcloth. A tiny glow appears orange and delicate. Thomas leans close and blows gently, so gently nurturing the ember, until it catches, and a small flame appears growing slowly, spreading from twig to twig, crackling softly as it finds its life. The fire grows, but slowly, never rushing, just gradually filling the hearth with warm, golden light. The shadows in the room begin to retreat, pulling back into the corners, and the cold air starts to soften, warmed by the dancing flames. Thomas sits back on his heels, watching the fire, letting its warmth touch his face. His mind is quiet, empty of worry. He simply exists. In this moment, as the light grows, as the warmth spreads, as the day begins to wake around him, let yourself feel that warmth now washing over you, gentle and safe as you sink deeper into rest. Margaret descends the stairs, now moving as slowly and carefully as her husband did. She wears a long woolen dress covered by a linen apron, and her graying hair is hidden beneath a simple white coif. She says nothing. There is no need for words. She simply joins Thomas by the fire, and together they sit in comfortable silence, watching the flames, feeling the growing warmth, breathing slowly in and out. The inn begins to fill with soft golden light. The wooden beams glow warmly overhead. The plastered walls, painted with simple lime wash, seem to absorb the firelight and reflect it back gently. Everything feels safe, peaceful, wrapped in a cocoon of warmth and quiet. Outside, the village is beginning to wake, but so slowly, so gradually. A dog barks softly in the distance. Someone's wooden door creaks open. Footsteps pass by on the dirt road outside, but all of it feels far away, muffled, as if the world itself is still half asleep. Nothing demands your attention. Nothing pulls you away from this gentle peace. Just let yourself be here, breathing, drifting, allowing the weight of your body to sink deeper into comfort. Thomas rises slowly and walks to the pantry, a small room off the main hall. Its shelves hold simple provisions, rounds of hard cheese wrapped in cloth, a sack of oats, dried herbs hanging in. Bundles from the ceiling, filling the air with the scent of thyme and sage and rosemary. He takes what he needs, moving with the same unhurried pace, carrying each item as if it were precious, as if time itself were. Abundant and infinite, Margaret has begun to prepare the morning meal. She moves about the hearth with practiced ease, hanging an iron pot on the hook above the fire, adding oats and water, and a pinch of salt, stirring slowly. Rhythmically, the wooden spoon, moving in circles around and around and around, the pot begins to warm, and soon the oats start to bubble, gently, a soft, peaceful sound, like distant waves lapping at a shore. The smell of cooking porridge fills the air, simple, comforting, a smell that means safety and home. Let that comfort wrap around you now as you breathe it in, as you allow yourself to drift even deeper. The morning continues its slow unfold. Thomas checks the inn's supply of ale barrels, stored in the cool cellar beneath the floor. He lifts a trapdoor slowly, carefully, and descends wooden steps into the darkness below, where the air is cool and damp and smells of earth and fermentation. The barrels sit in rows, silent and patient, waiting to be tapped when the day's guests arrive. Everything here happens in its own time. There is no rush, no pressure, just the gentle rhythm of daily life in a medieval inn, where each task flows into the next like water, like breath, like sleep itself. As the morning light grows stronger, filtering through the small glass windows, expensive glass, a luxury that Thomas's father installed years ago, the inn begins to prepare itself for the day ahead. But still there is no hurry, no urgency, just the slow unfolding of familiar routines. Breathe slowly with me now as we watch the day develop like a flower opening its petals, one at a time, unhurried. Natural, peaceful Margaret has finished preparing the morning porridge, and now she sets out wooden bowls on the long oak table, placing them carefully one beside another. The bowls are simple, turned from local wood, smooth from years of use. Each one sits waiting, patient, ready to receive its portion of warm, filling oats. Thomas emerges from the cellar, moving slowly up the wooden steps. He carries nothing in his hands. He simply comes up to rejoin the world above. His face shows no expression of effort or concern, just the peaceful neutrality of a man doing what he has done 1,000 times before. The fire crackles softly in the hearth, sending up occasional sparks that drift lazily upward, disappearing into the dark chimney. The flames have settled now into a steady burn, neither too hot nor too cold, just right, just perfect for this quiet morning. Let yourself feel that perfect balance, that gentle equilibrium, as your own body settles into its most comfortable position, sinking, releasing, letting go. The first guest of the morning appears, a merchant traveling from the market town to the south. He enters through the heavy wooden door, which swings open slowly on its iron hinges, letting in a shaft of morning light that cuts through the dimness of the hall. Dust motes dance in the beam, turning slowly, endlessly, hypnotically. "Good morning, Thomas," the merchant says quietly, his voice low and respectful of the early hour. Thomas nods slowly, a gentle smile on his weathered face. "Good morning, Master Edmund. You slept well. I trust." The words are soft, unhurried. There is no need to speak loudly or quickly. Everything can be said in its own time, with pauses between, with space for the silence to breathe. Edmund moves slowly to the table and sits on one of the wooden benches. The wood creaks softly beneath him, a comfortable sound, a sound that speaks of solidity and age. Margaret brings him a bowl of porridge, walking slowly across the rush-covered floor, her footsteps barely audible. She sets the bowl down gently before him, and he nods his thanks, no words needed. Steam rises from the porridge, curling up in delicate wisps, carrying the scent of oats and warmth. Edmund eats slowly, spooning the hot cereal to his mouth, with careful, measured movements, chewing thoughtfully, swallowing, then taking another spoonful. The rhythm of his eating is meditative, peaceful, like a prayer. As you breathe, let yourself match that rhythm, slow, steady. No need to rush anything anywhere. Thomas sits across from Edmund, not to talk, just to sit, to share the quiet morning. The two men exist in comfortable silence. The only sounds the gentle scrape of Edmund's spoon against the wooden bowl, the soft crackle of the fire, the distant sound of birds beginning their morning songs outside. Time passes, but it is impossible to say how much. Minutes blur together in this peaceful place, where each moment feels like every other moment, where nothing changes. Quickly, where everything simply is. Another guest descends from the rooms above, an elderly priest traveling to a monastery 2 days' journey to the north. He moves even more slowly than the others, his aged body stiff from the previous day's riding. His brown robes brush softly against the stairs as he descends, one careful step at a time, hand on the wall for balance. "Good morning," Father Thomas says softly, rising slowly to help the old man to a seat. The priest nods, his wrinkled face breaking into a gentle smile. "God's blessings upon this house," he murmurs, his voice thin and soft like warm silk. Margaret brings him porridge as well, and a small cup of weak ale, the standard breakfast drink, safer than water, gentler than strong wine. The priest makes a small sign of the cross over his meal, his lips moving in silent prayer, and then begins to eat with the same slow deliberation. As Edmund, let the peace of this place wash over you like warm water, like gentle rain, softening everything, smoothing away any tension, any thought, any concern. The morning continues its gentle progression. Thomas tends to small tasks around the inn. He checks the shutters on the windows, making sure they open and close smoothly on their leather hinges. He sweeps the hearth, using a small bundle of birch twigs, moving the ashes into a pile that will later be saved for making lye used for soap and cleaning. Every movement is economical, purposeful, but never hurried. There is a meditation in these simple tasks, a kind of prayer in the repetition, the familiar patterns worn smooth by years of practice. Margaret has begun to prepare the midday meal. Though it is still early, she knows that preparation cannot be rushed. She moves to the pantry and returns with vegetables from the inn's garden, carrots and onions and leeks. She sits on a low stool by the fire, a wooden bowl in her lap, and begins to peel and chop slowly, carefully, the knife moving in a steady rhythm, peel, chop, peel, chop. The vegetables fall into the bowl with soft thuds, small sounds that punctuate the silence, like a heartbeat, slow, regular, comforting. You can feel your own heartbeat now slowing, matching the rhythm of this peaceful place, letting your body relax more deeply with each gentle pulse. Edmund finishes his breakfast and rises slowly. I must be on my way, he says quietly. Thank you for your hospitality. Thomas, he places a few small copper coins on the table. They clink softly, a gentle sound. Thomas nods. Travel safely, Master Edmund. May the road be kind to you. Edmund gathers his belongings from the room above his footsteps, soft on the stairs, then returns and passes through the heavy door out into the morning. The door closes slowly behind him, and the inn returns to its quiet, just Thomas and Margaret and the old priest, and the fire and the shadows and the peace. The priest is finished eating and now sits by the fire, his eyes half closed, his lips moving in quiet prayer. The Latin words are barely audible, just a soft murmur that blends with the crackling of the flames, like a lullaby, like a whisper, like the sound of sleep itself. Outside, the day has fully arrived, the mist has burned away, and the sun shines weakly through thin clouds, casting a pale, diffused light over everything. But inside the inn, time seems to move differently, more slowly, as if the thick walls and low ceiling protect this space from the normal flow of hours and minutes. Let yourself be protected here too, wrapped in this timeless bubble where nothing can disturb you, where everything is soft and safe and slow. Thomas moves to the small room behind the hall, the brewing room, where large vats sit waiting. Here he will spend the next hours preparing a new batch of ale, a process that requires patience and attention, but no rush, no urgency. He begins by heating water, carrying it in buckets from the hearth, pouring it slowly into a large wooden vat. The water steams gently, filling the room with warmth and moisture. Thomas adds malted barley grain that has been allowed to sprout and then dried, giving it a sweet, nutty flavor. He stirs the mixture with a long wooden paddle, around and around and around, watching as the grain softens and begins to release its sugars into the water. The motion is hypnotic, rhythmic. The paddle moves through the thick liquid slowly, steadily, never stopping, never rushing, just maintaining its constant gentle pace, like breathing, like waves, like sleep. Margaret joins him after a while, carrying more water, more grain. They work together in silence, no words needed. After so many years, they move around each other with practiced ease, each knowing exactly what the other needs, when to step forward, when to step back. A dance performed in slow motion. As they work, the morning passes. The fire in the main hall burns steadily. The priest dozes in his chair. The sunlight moves slowly across the floor, marking time not with numbers, but with the gradual shift of shadows. Everything flows, everything continues. Everything remains peaceful and calm and soft. Let yourself flow with it. Let yourself drift with that. Gentle current, no resistance, no effort, just allowing yourself to be carried deeper and deeper into rest. The middle of the day arrives without announcement, without fanfare. The sun has reached its highest point in the sky, though its light remains pale and gentle, filtered through the persistent clouds that drift slowly overhead. Inside the inn, the rhythm continues unchanged. Slow, peaceful, eternal. Breathe deeply now, and let yourself sink even deeper into this timeless place, where nothing startles, where nothing demands, where everything simply is. Thomas has finished the first stage of brewing. The malted barley sits in its vat, steeping slowly, releasing its sweetness into the warm water. This process cannot be hurried. It will take hours, and there is nothing to do now but wait. So Thomas does what people in this time do best. He waits patiently, without restlessness, without checking any clock or device, simply trusting that time will pass as it needs to. He returns to the main hall, where Margaret has prepared a simple midday meal, a pottage of vegetables and barley, thick and warming, served in wooden bowls with chunks of dark bread. The bread is coarse, made from rye and wheat, mixed together, dense and filling. Each bite requires slow chewing, letting the flavors develop, letting the body receive the nourishment it needs. The old priest joins them at the table, moving even more slowly now, his morning stiffness not entirely worked out yet. They eat together in companionable silence, the only sounds the soft scrape of spoons, the gentle tearing of bread, the quiet chewing and swallowing that mark the simple act of sustaining life. Let yourself feel that simplicity. Now that reduction to the most basic, the most essential. Just breathing, just being, just allowing this moment to exist without needing anything more. After the meal, the priest returns to his place by the fire. His journey will continue tomorrow, but for now he is content to simply sit, to let his old bones rest too. Watch the flames dance their slow dance. His eyes grow heavy, and before long he has drifted into sleep, his chin dropping slowly toward his chest. His breathing becoming deep and regular. Margaret clears the bowls, moving quietly, so as not to disturb the sleeping priest. She carries them to a basin of water, also heated from the fire, and begins to wash them slowly, carefully. The water is warm and soapy, made from lye and animal fat, and it feels good on her work-roughened hands. She washes each bowl with methodical attention, then rinses it, then sets it aside to dry one after another, a meditation in cleanliness. Thomas has gone upstairs to tend to the guest rooms. There are 3 small chambers above the hall, each furnished simply with a straw mattress, a wooden chest, perhaps a small table and stool. He enters each room slowly, checking that the rushes on the floor are still fresh, that the chamber pots have been emptied and cleaned, that the woolen blankets are folded neatly on the beds. In the first room, Edmund's room from last night, he opens the wooden shutters to air out the space. Fresh air flows in, cool and clean, carrying the scent of the village, wood smoke and animals and earth. Thomas stands at the window for a long moment looking out at the quiet street below. A few people move about their business, slowly a woman carrying a basket, a child leading a goat, everyone moving at the same unhurried pace as if the whole village shares one gentle heartbeat. Let your own heartbeat slow to match their slow, steady calm, nothing to disturb the perfect peace of this afternoon. Thomas moves to the next room and then the next, performing the same small tasks in each. His movements have become automatic, his mind quiet and empty. There is a kind of freedom in this, in letting the body work while the mind rests, in allowing routine to carry you forward without thought or effort. When he returns downstairs, he finds that Margaret has finished her washing and has begun to spin wool. She sits on a low stool near the fire, the wooden spindle turning slowly in her practiced hands, the raw wool cleaned and carded earlier in the week, transforms gradually into thread thin and even winding onto the spindle with each gentle twist. The motion is rhythmic, hypnotic, around and around, twist and wind, twist and wind. The afternoon light has changed, grown softer, more golden. It slants through the windows at a lower angle, now painting warm rectangles. On the floor, the fire has burned down to glowing coals, and Thomas adds another log, just one, placing it carefully, watching as it begins to blacken, and then to catch sending up small yellow flames that lick along its surface. Nothing urgent happens here. No crisis emerges, no drama unfolds. There is only the slow turning of the day, the gentle progression from one moment to the next, like beads on a string, like breaths in meditation, like the edge of sleep itself. A traveler arrives, a farmer from a neighboring village, seeking a place to rest before continuing his journey tomorrow. Thomas greets him quietly, shows him to a room upstairs, accepts his few coins with a small nod. The farmer is tired, dusty from the road. He washes his face and hands in the basin Thomas provides, then comes downstairs and sits by the fire, grateful for its warmth, grateful for the simple comfort of a safe place to rest. Margaret brings him ale and bread, and he accepts it with quiet thanks. He drinks slowly, letting the cool liquid soothe his throat, letting the alcohol gently soften the edges of his fatigue. The ale is mild, made from the last batch Thomas brewed, perfect in its simplicity, neither too strong nor too weak, just right for this slow afternoon. Let yourself taste that perfection, that balance, as you allow your own body to find its perfect position of rest, adjusting, slightly settling more deeply, releasing any last bit of tension. The afternoon continues its gentle fade into evening. The priest wakes slowly from his nap, disoriented for just a moment, then remembering where he is. He smiles softly, grateful for the rest, and returns to his quiet prayers, his voice a soft murmur that becomes part of the room's atmosphere, like the crackling fire, like the whisper of Margaret's spindle, like the slow breathing of time itself. Thomas sits down, finally allowing himself to rest. He has been on his feet since dawn, moving slowly but constantly, and now he permits himself this pause, this moment of stillness. He sits on the bench near the wall, where he can see the whole room, the fire, the guests, his wife, everything. Under his care, everything peaceful, everything exactly as it should be. His eyes grow heavy. The warmth of the fire, the soft sounds of the inn, the knowledge that all is well, all of it combines to pull him towards sleep. He fights it gently, not urgently, just a soft resistance, knowing there are still hours of daylight left, still tasks that might arise. But his head nods once, twice, and for just a moment he allows himself to drift. Drift with him now. Let your own eyes grow heavy. Let your own body release into that same gentle pull toward sleep. There is no need to resist, no need to stay alert. You can simply let go knowing you are safe, knowing you are held by this peaceful moment. The V who resist, no need to stay alert. You can simply let go and you are safe, knowing you are held by this peaceful moment. The afternoon shadows grow longer, stretching across the floor like dark fingers. The room grows dimmer, softer. The fire provides most of the light, now casting everything in warm amber tones, making the shadows dance slowly. On the walls, the priest's voice continues its gentle murmur, a constant presence, a lullaby in Latin ancient words worn, smooth by centuries of repetition. Margaret's spindle turns and turns and turns. The wool becomes thread inch by inch, a transformation so slow it is almost imperceptible, but steady, inevitable. The thread will become cloth, the cloth will become garments, and the cycle will continue forever, endlessly, as it has for generations, as it will for generations to come. There is comfort in this continuity, in knowing that these rhythms have existed long before you and will continue long after you are just passing through, just resting for a moment in this timeless place. And that is exactly where you need to be. The farmer by the fire has fallen asleep, sitting up, his head tilted back against the wall, his mouth slightly open, breathing deeply and slowly. Thomas notices, but does not wake him. There is no need. Let him rest. Let everyone rest. The day's been long and gentle and full of small peaceful moments, and now it deserves to fade quietly into evening. The light outside has turned golden, that particular honey-colored light that comes in late afternoon, soon to deepen into the amber and rose of sunset, but not yet. For now it holds this perfect balance, neither day nor night, neither waking nor sleeping, just the soft in-between time when everything seems to pause and breathe. Breathe with it, long, slow breaths, feeling your chest rise and fall, letting each exhale carry away any remaining thought, any remaining awareness of anything beyond this moment, this peace, this perfect stillness. Evening arrives as gently as everything else in this timeless place. The light outside fades by degrees, so slowly that you would not notice if you were not watching. The golden glow deepens to amber, then to rose, then to purple, and finally to the deep blue of twilight. Inside the inn, Thomas rises slowly and lights the first candle, a tallow candle that burns with a soft, slightly smoky flame, casting a small circle of warm light against the gathering darkness. Let your own awareness grow softer, now dimmer, as the day releases you into the peace of evening, into the quiet embrace of approaching night. Margaret has put away her spinning. The wool and spindle rest in their basket, waiting for tomorrow. She moves slowly about the room, preparing for the evening meal, though it will be simple, just bread and cheese, and more ale, perhaps some dried fruit. People in this time eat their largest meal at midday, and evening is for small sustenance and rest. The priest has woken from his chair by the fire and gone upstairs to his room. His footsteps on the stairs are soft and slow, each creak of the wood a gentle punctuation in the quiet. He will pray privately now, then sleep, preparing himself for tomorrow's journey. But there is no urgency in his preparations, just a slow practiced ritual of an evening routine performed 1,000 times before. The farmer still sleeps by the fire, and Thomas lets him be. There will be time enough for him to go upstairs when he wakes naturally. For now the inn wraps around him like a blanket, protecting him, holding him in its warm safety. Another traveler arrives just as the last light fades from the sky, A merchant servant sent ahead to secure lodging for his master, who will arrive tomorrow. He is young, perhaps 20 years, and tired from a full day's walk. Thomas greets him with the same quiet courtesy he shows everyone, leads him to a room, brings him bread and ale. All of this happens slowly, peacefully, without any suggestion that his late arrival is an inconvenience. The young man eats gratefully, hungrily, but even his hunger seems muted in this place contained manageable. The food fills him, the ale warms him, and soon he too grows drowsy, nodding over his cup. His eyes drift closed, then open, then closed again, longer each time. You can feel that same drowsiness, now that same gentle pull, your eyes growing heavier, harder to keep open, and there is no reason to fight it, no reason at all. Just let them close, let them rest. Let the darkness behind your eyelids become your whole world. Thomas banks the fire for the night. He arranges the larger logs carefully, ensuring they will burn slowly through the hours of darkness, providing warmth without needing constant attention. The coals glow deep red, breathing softly as air moves through them, expanding, contracting like a sleeping heart, like your own heart, slow, steady, peaceful. Margaret brings out woolen blankets. For the farmer who has finally roused himself enough to move to one of the benches along the wall, he will sleep there, wrapped in the blankets close to the fire's warmth. It is common for lesser travelers to sleep in the main hall rather than taking a private room, and he seems content with this, already settling himself, pulling the rough wool up to his chin, closing his eyes with a long, satisfied sigh. The young servant has gone upstairs, and the inn falls into its nighttime quiet. Thomas walks slowly around the room, checking the shutters, making sure the door is barred. These are the final tasks of the day, performed with the same care as all the others. Nothing rushed, nothing overlooked, just the gentle securing of the space for the night ahead. The candle flame wavers slightly, and some invisible draft casting dancing shadows on the walls. The shadows move like slow water, like silk scarves floating like dreams at the edge of consciousness. Watch them move, let your eyes follow their gentle motion. Let yourself become part of their dance. Margaret has gone upstairs, and now Thomas follows, climbing the stairs for the last time today. His body is heavy with the pleasant fatigue of a day fully lived, a day of simple tasks and quiet satisfaction. He reaches the small room at the top of the stairs where Margaret already lies beneath the woolen blankets. Her eyes closed, her breathing deep and even. Thomas removes his tunic, folds it carefully, places it on the wooden chest. He lies down beside his wife, feeling the straw mattress compress beneath his weight, feeling the rough wool blanket settle over him, feeling the accumulated warmth of his own body begin to create a cocoon of comfort. Outside, the village has fallen completely silent. No voices, no footsteps, no sounds of activity. Just the occasional distant bark of a dog, the soft hoot of an owl somewhere in the darkness, the whisper of wind moving through the thatch above. All the sounds of a medieval night, soft, unthreatening, almost like silence itself. Let yourself hear that silence now. Let it fill your ears. Let it wash away any remaining sound from the modern world. You are here in this quiet place, in this perfect darkness, and nothing can disturb you. Thomas closes his eyes. His mind empties of thought. There are no worries here, no concerns about tomorrow. Tomorrow will come in its own time, and it will unfold exactly as today has unfolded, with the same slow rhythm, the same gentle tasks, the same peaceful progression from dawn to dusk. There is comfort in that knowledge, in that absolute predictability, and the endless cycle that asks nothing more than presence and care. His breathing slows, deepens, joining with Margaret's in a quiet harmony. Two people breathing together in the darkness, married not just to each other, but to this life, to this place, to this moment. And around them the inn breathes too, the timber walls settling with soft creaks, the thatch rustling almost imperceptibly, the fire below still glowing, still protecting. Below in the main hall, the farmer sleeps deeply wrapped in his blankets. The young servant in his room above sleeps too, his body recovering from the day's journey. The old priest lies on his side, hands folded, lips still moving slightly in prayer, even as sleep claims him. And throughout it all the inn holds them, keeps them safe, asks nothing of them, but that they rest. You are safe too, held, just as they are wrapped in the same darkness, the same peace, the same infinite gentleness. Your body has grown so heavy now, so comfortable, every muscle released, every joint soft. You have sunk deep into whatever surface holds you, become part of it, indistinguishable from it. The night deepens. The stars appear above the village, though no one sees them. Everyone is inside, everyone is sleeping or drifting toward sleep. The whole world has quieted, has turned inward, has released its hold on doing and become simply being. Hours pass unmeasured, unmarked. In the darkness, time loses all meaning. There is only this, only now, only the soft and endless present moment. The fire burns lower. The candle Thomas lit has guttered out, leaving only the deep red glow of coals to illuminate anything at all. But even that is barely visible, just the faintest suggestion of warmth in an ocean of darkness. Thomas dreams, though his dreams are simple, wordless, just images drifting through his sleeping mind. The inn, the fire, the familiar faces of guests, Margaret's hands spinning wool. The dreams have no narrative, no excitement. They are just the mind's way of processing the day, of settling its memories, of finding rest, even in sleep. Let your own mind do the same. Let whatever thoughts remain drift away, like smoke, like mist, like shadows. Let them dissolve into nothing and to nowhere, until there is only this perfect emptiness, this absolute peace. The night continues, long, slow, dark. There are hours yet before dawn, hours of this deep rest, this complete release. And you do not need to count them, do not need to track them. You can simply let yourself float here, suspended in this timeless moment, held by the darkness, cradled by the silence. Nothing will disturb you now, nothing will call you back. You can drift deeper and deeper down through layers of consciousness, past thought, past awareness, into the deep waters of true sleep, where there is no dreaming, no thinking, no being anything at all, except a small point of peaceful existence. The inn rests around you, the village rests beyond it. The whole medieval world has settled into its nightly peace. And you are part of that, joined to it, breathing with it, sleeping with it, released from all concern, from all effort, from all need to be anywhere, or do anything except simply rest. Rest now, deep, complete, total rest. Let yourself sink all the way down. Let the weight of sleep carry you. Let the darkness hold you. Let the peace fill you completely until there is nothing left but this perfect, gentle, infinite rest. And let yourself sleep, sleep, sleep.